Well, today I worked on some picture frames, and boy, did I ever write off my craft room. What a mess. This is the floor of my craft room. So I guess I'm going to have to get a broom out after I'm finished making this video. So I made picture frames and I used the corrugated insides of a piece of cardboard. But of course, I had to use the X-Acto knife to cut them and strip the one layer of paper off the top. So it was quite time consuming actually. It took me about 15 minutes to make enough of these strips here in order to make 3 picture frames. But you can see I cut them up, and that's what I'm going to use to make some picture frames. Now, I did not use a proper square to make these. I actually used just kind of eyeballed it. So, and then of course I used the squares that are on my green mat to make sure that they were actually square. So these are the tobacco silks that I'm planning on framing, and so this is the size that I chose to make. So, and I made 3 of them exactly identical. So once I had the first one cut perfectly, then I used that as a guide to cut the other 2 out. So you can see here I've got all the pieces together, and then I used just regular tacky glue to tack them together. So they're just glued at the corners, and then I let it sit for about an hour while it was drying. So, and again, they are not perfect. They're good and square, but they're not perfect. You can see on the corners there where it didn't quite match up. So I'm going to go in with some wood glue, and I'm going to go over it, and I'm going to use the wood glue and some excess paper off of the floor as a filler for any areas you can see, like right there where there's a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to use the wood glue as well as some scrap paper. So you can see here I'm applying the wood glue not just to the areas where it has gaps, but actually to the entire frame. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that will make this cardboard a lot more sturdier and not easy to bend, and it'll just make a nicer surface. You can see it's like slightly rough on the top of the surface, and this glue will actually smooth things out for me. So here we are with the wood glue, and I am using just a little tad bit of water because that makes it spread a little easier. And you can see it works just like polyfill kind of, to fill in all the holes and the gaps. And again, anywhere where there's a big enough gap that I can't fill it with just the wood glue, I'm using little tiny scraps of paper over top of it, just kind of paper collage kind of thing. So this is what it looks like with the wet wood glue, and I'm just going to let that set up for a couple of hours. It fortunately doesn't take very long for it to dry. So I'm just going to walk away from it and give it a couple hours and then go back at it. So in the meantime, I have flipped these pieces over and I've cut some cardstock for the backs of the frames. The cardstock is cut just a little bit too big, but that's okay. Whatever excess I have, I can cut it off. So, and the reason why I'm using cardstock on the back is so that I can protect these little tobacco silks from any kind of damage. And you'll see how I mount them in the frames. So in the meantime, I've got to make these frames look pretty, but I got to wait until they're totally dry. And they are totally dry. As you can see, there's no white that's showing. I've got out my burnt umber acrylic paint, and I'm just going to do one light streaky coat, and an emphasis on streaky. I want it to be one light streaky coat so that it simulates that it looks like wood. I really don't want to go on and do like more than one coat because I really, really want it to look like antique wood, which I think I've achieved quite well. So there you go. The paint is still wet on it. So again, I'm going to let this dry for about a half an hour and then I'll come back and do the next step. So the next step is I've got out this premium wax metallic finish. Um, and what I'm going to do, I got that from Michael's craft store. And rub and buff is what it's more commonly known as in the United States. And then I've got a really stiff bristle brush. And I'm just going to kind of dunk it into the rub and buff and then quickly kind of give highlights to these picture frames. So, and the whole thing is less is more when it comes to the rub and buff. I don't want to turn the entire frame gold. I just want to have gold highlights. So on this one, I'm kind of highlighting the indent in the middle of the frame. On the other two, I will be more cognizant of doing just the parts that stick out. So, which is kind of cool because then all three of them will look slightly different from one another. So, it doesn't show up how golden this really is quite good on the camera, but in real life it actually looks really quite pretty. So I'm quite pleased with the outcome. You'll see once I get all three of these frames done up. So, and again, less is more. This first frame that I did, I probably got a little bit carried away with the rub and buff and maybe used a little bit too much. So there you go. There's all three of them done. And the first one that I did is the one on the far left, and you can see it's got quite a bit more rub and buff than the others. So then I cut some acetate, some clear acetate paper. You can buy acetate paper from the craft store, or you can just cut it off of, like, say, a packaging that you get strawberries in from the grocery store. So I glue that onto the back of the frame and allow that to dry. And then I very lightly place the little tobacco silks onto it. And then I just put some glue on the exterior of the frame on the back. And by that I mean just the very edge. And then I glued the actual cardstock down. So the actual tobacco silks have absolutely not one bit of glue touching them. So that means that if I ever want to remove them out of these frames, they have not been destroyed. They'll be able to be reused. And I like the fact that I put the acetate over top of them because I believe that will protect them for years to come, and keep them clean and sealed away from dust, etc. So, and there you go. Here's my finished product, and I'm going to be hanging these up in my dollhouses. So I'm quite pleased with the way they turned out. They're super lightweight. They don't bend at all because the wood glue has kept them solid. And as you can see, the glue is only on the perimeter of the cardstock, which means that the actual tobacco silk itself is still protected. And they're nice and lightweight, which means you can hang them up with museum wax. And I think they actually look like real wooden frames, in my opinion. But they're super, super lightweight. And as you can see again, it's only glued around the very perimeter, so that means the tobacco silk itself has not been damaged. I love these tobacco silks. Deb from Dollhouse Dilemma sent these in a Christmas card for me for Christmas, and I just love them. And also, since it's been so cold outside, I decided to work on this little doll that I purchased at the garage sale last summer. So it's an anatomically correct little boy, and I crocheted him a little sweater, and then I made a little hat for him out of some scrap lace that I had around and a little bit of ribbon. And I think he turned out really well. He's so cute. This is also a little crib that I got with, look at the little clown decals. They're so cute. I got that also at the garage sale, the miniature garage sale. And I think he is just absolutely adorable. Just so cute. But unfortunately, 1/12 scale, so he won't work in any of my doll houses. But that's okay. This little baby in his crib can live inside of my china cabinet. I don't think he'll mind. So I just couldn't resist this crib or this baby. Just so cute. Look at the face on that thing. Long eyelashes. Aw, sweet little baby. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to help support my channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Lisa Dobo. I'd like to thank everyone that has been supporting me with buymeacoffee.com. I had so much fun making these little picture frames this weekend. It's so cold outside that I've just been keeping myself busy here inside the house and trying not to venture outside. Brr, -40 is just not lovely weather. Well, thank you very much. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and tell your friends. And once again, have the best day ever, guys.